Hello everyone. As promised, here is the video on friendships and boundaries. I had posted a poll on both my Instagram and my Facebook, Life Coach in the Making, and this was the one that received the highest votes. For those who might not be aware, for life coaching, something I'm really passionate about is relationships and helping women to just be stronger in those. So this video is really for the ladies, guys. I haven't really figured out how you guys do friendships. It's like bro code or whatever you want to call it. I haven't figured it out. So let's just get into it. Long story short, boundaries, yes, in friendship, they are necessary. Boundaries are necessary in all of our relationships. From a parenting aspect, think about our children. If we do not give them strong boundaries, what kind of adults will they grow up to be? They will be an adult with no boundaries. So what your boundaries look like personally are all dependent on you. I can share some things that I do, but you're the one that really has to assess what your boundaries look like. Boundaries may look different in each friendship or relationship that you're in. It may change over time. The boundaries I have now in certain friendships aren't necessarily the same boundaries that I had maybe when we first became friends. Initially, there's probably not a lot of boundaries or expectations. You're just getting to know each other, and you as a friend might just be figuring out what works best for you. But I do think that as a person that knows yourself, you know what you're expecting from that friendship. And so it is important that you lead by example. If you are wanting to have a deep, meaningful relationship with somebody, that you're putting that work into it, and tell them, I really would love to see this friendship grow. That person might not be in the same season as you are. And so if you are that person and you are not ready to grow, you need to say, I'm not ready to grow. People a lot of times, and I struggle with this too, is we don't share how we're feeling because we are fearful of hurting other people's feelings. But what about your feelings? Your feelings matter, and your feelings impact your day way more than other people's feelings. So there are good, healthy ways to communicate hard truths, and that's something that I really would love to be able to help people learn how to do. Now, the stuff I'm sharing, it isn't rocket science. It's not from a book. This is just stuff that I've learned over the years, and I can be 100% honest and say that my relationships are so life-giving because I do have boundaries. I have boundaries in my marriage. I have boundaries as a parent. Even with my parents, I have boundaries. And so boundaries are good. Don't look at it as a negative thing. When you're trying to figure out what areas you might want to focus on for boundaries, I like to say if it kind of gives you like a feeling, that's something you need to address. I know some people like to say it's a gut feeling. I like to say it's a God feeling. He's probably trying to put you onto something. So listen to him. He wants to help you. He wants you to have life-giving relationships. Also, something to take note of is the type of friendships you have in your life. Who has access to you, and how much access do they have? Your first boundary is probably determining who gets what. So for me, it's like a hierarchy. God, husband, kids, friends. So if a friendship is starting to creep up into taking away from those other areas, I'm probably going to have to put it into check. And there are going to be seasons where some friendships just need more support, and that's okay for a season. But if your friendships require a lot of hand-holding, a lot of work, and they're not putting a lot of work into it, that is when you need to kind of put your foot down and communicate, hey, we might need to do something different here. So I look at friendships on different levels. I have acquaintances. So for example, I went to church this morning. I probably said good morning to 20 people. Does that mean that all 20 of those people are people that I do life with? No. I might know essential facts about them. Are they married? How many children do they have? How long have they been going to my church? Are they involved? Certain things like that. Very, very surface level. Also, I have probably, I call my friends group. This is a more limited number of people. These are people that I go below, deeper than surface level. I know more about them. Probably interact with them more with the positives in life. They might not necessarily go through the thick of it with me. But then I have what I like to call my besties. And this is less than five people are this. These are the people that know everything and really go through life with me. They become family. And so each of those different levels get different access. And I would say that my besties really understand my boundaries. And when they come to me with something, they already probably know how I'm going to respond. They know, for example, if you send me a text after 9 p.m., it's very hit or miss if I'm going to respond to you. I try to cut off distractions. Now, sometimes there might be a response, but people know if you need to get a hold of me and it's an emergency after 9, you should probably just call me. Also, when I'm with my family, my phone is usually on silent. So just things with communication that I've established for myself that my friends are just aware of. Also, an expectation that I have and kind of a boundary to protect my time is I'm not very good at last minute things to get added onto the calendar. So if you call me now and say, hey, do you want to get dinner? I'm probably going to tell you no because I've already planned dinner with my family. I am one of those people that needs a few days in advance. And now I have a friend locally who she is my bestie here and she knows that and she is the same way. And so your besties kind of probably share a lot of the same boundaries. And so it's very easy to communicate those things. So we know if we want to have lunch, we are talking about it a week in advance. So what happens when boundaries aren't being met? So this can come from unknown boundaries. Someone who might they may not care. I mean, that's honest. Someone may not care about your boundaries. Someone might not feel that they're as serious as you say they are. And then I think there's just some people who they don't intentionally try to not respect the boundaries, but they're there. So first, if there's something that's not meeting your expectations, you need to communicate that. And a true friend will respect that, and they will be intentional about making changes to help you feel more secure in your friendship. So, for example, with my very close circle, I expect to hear from you once a day or at least every other day. And they know that. So if you are someone who doesn't like to communicate as much, you might have to try a little bit harder to make sure that you are meeting that expectation. And so for me, my kind of boundary is if you can't meet that expectation, that's cool, that's you, but I might have to limit how much I invest into that friendship because friendships are supposed to be life-giving. Scripture even says, Proverbs 27:9, a sweet friendship refreshes the soul. Friendships, they're going to have ups, they're going to have downs, hopefully more ups. But when you look at your friendships, are they refreshing or are they sucking the life out of you? So it's okay to have different levels of friendships. It's okay to say, this group of people I'm really investing time in, and this group of people, I'm going to be an acquaintance with you. I'm going to, casually see you I mean, if that's how you want to look at it. But look at your relationships and how are they making you feel. And unfortunately, that might hurt someone's feelings, but in the long run of things, you're probably doing them and yourself a favor. And when you communicate what your expectations are, that might motivate them to be a better friend to you and to maybe make some changes that they need to make. So I guess my biggest, place to start with boundaries is limiting your access. To my younger viewers, I wish I would have believed people when they told me this, but it's not about the quantity of friends, but it really is about the quality. When I was 20, I was probably really heartbroken if I went to a party and nobody talked to me, or if I didn't mingle with everybody. But now that I'm older, I really only invite people over to my house to do things with that I want to do life with, or that I want to invest in. Now, that's not to say I'm a very relational person, so if somebody's talking to me about a need, I might have a pool of people that I know from my acquaintances that I can connect. So are you looking to get into a small group? Are you looking to find a cooking club? Are you looking to find a sport, a hobby? I might know someone to help fill that need. So that's why it's important to keep those connections. But boundaries are necessary. That's just it, plain and simple. And how you choose to set up your boundaries, that's on you. I can't tell you what to do. Now, if you're having a situation and you message me and say, "Hey, Coach Christine, how do you think I should manage this?" We're going to talk through it. We're going to ask some questions and figure out what's the best way to handle it. But you have to be willing to put yourself out there and communicate that with those around you. The last thing I want to say is from Proverbs 4:23. Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. Our heart is so important, and we need to protect that, and we need to protect it from relationships that aren't healthy in general. And so having boundaries and expectations are there to help you have healthy relationships and keep your heart pure. And you want to be looking at your friendships as exciting and fun and people that are there for you. I've been in the situation where I've had I get a text and it's like, oh, I don't want to deal with that person. So it's okay to not be best friends with everyone. It's okay to not even be friends with everyone. Find your circle, invest your time, and God will continue to move and put people in your life that you need. And be okay with seasons changing, with friendships changing. One of my best friends, she lives in Wisconsin, and our relationship now in our mid-30s is very different than when it was when we were 18. But she's still my best friend. I've known her since I was 14. We probably know way too much about each other to not be friends. But in all seriousness, if I needed her, she would be on a plane and she would be here, and vice versa. But our relationship is different than my other best friend who lives 7 minutes up the road from me. But that's okay. It doesn't have to look the same. So I hope that you learned something from this. I hope that I shared some knowledge on you. I can say my friendships are very healthy. I've had to have some pretty hard conversations with people, but that mutual love for each other has trumped those uncomfortable times. So here's your challenge. Check your inventory. Who has access to you and why? And why do you feel like if you have everybody has access to you, why? Or maybe you only let one person have access to you. Maybe you need to open up a little bit. So I would love for you to comment below, what are some of the boundaries that you've put in place to help keep your relationships healthy? What's worked? What hasn't worked? And then if you're feeling super brave, comment something that you'd like to see in the next video. My goal is to do a video every other week and then work up to weekly. But I pray that you guys all have a great day and that you are bold with your boundaries.